All right, we're looking at page 151, the content questions for chapter 7. The answer to number 1 is looking at the 4 weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation. You could have any one of the following. Important legislation, such as declaring war and approving treaties, required the approval of 9 states. Another was that the amending of the Articles required unanimous approval of the states. Another answer could be the government had no national judiciary. Another answer is Congress could not levy taxes. Another one is that both the national government and the 13 state governments all issued currency. So there were 14 different currencies. Another answer is that the government could not deal with internal threats, such as Shays' Rebellion, and the national government could not regulate trade. Any 4 of those specific weaknesses would be acceptable. So the 4 points for number 1. Any other questions about your answers? If you merely listed the 3 general areas that are given in the book, then of course that would not be the 4 specific weaknesses that you should have listed. They might be under that, but those are general descriptions. Any questions? All right, number 2. At least 2 means that the Confederation government used in order to raise funds. And again, I'll give you several. You need to have 2 of these. One is that they simply asked the states to send money. Please send money. You know how well that works. Secondly, they received loans from other nations. Another source of income was the sale of public lands on the frontier. And then there were also profits from the government-owned post office. Back in those days, the post office had a profit. Yay. All right, any questions about your answers? Any 2 of those sources of income? All right, number 4. 3 major issues on which the Constitutional Convention had to compromise. One was how the states would be represented in the new government. Secondly, the question of how slaves would be counted in representation and taxation. Thirdly, the question of how much authority the federal government would be given over trade. So the 3 main words that we could use there is first representation, the second issue was slavery, and the third issue was trade. Any questions about your answers? And you should have had all 3 of those 3 points. Okay, number 5. What basic biblical principle concerning human nature did the framers of the Constitution recognize in writing that document? So now I'll give you a chance to answer, since this is a little easier than the others. What principle of human nature did the founders recognize? Brady?
And men are naturally sinful.
That is correct. Man is naturally or inherently sinful. Any question? And that takes us to number 7. The 2 major states that most supporters of the Constitution believed were needed to ratify the document in order for the new government to succeed, even though the necessary minimum of 9 states had already ratified. Well, give me one of the states. We'll allow a couple people to answer this. Hayden, give me one of the states.
New York.
That is correct. And Nate, give me another one.
Virginia.
Virginia. 2 points. New York and Virginia. Any questions? They're the 2 most populous states at the time. All right. Count up the number of incorrect answers you have. I think I count 12 points altogether. is it 11?
It's 12.
12, okay.
Okay.
I can put the number incorrect at the top of your paper, and I will collect those and record those for your first grade of the new semester. As soon as I have done that, or in the interim while I'm collecting those, we're going to begin next to take some time to look at the new government that was formed with the colonies under the Constitution. You've read about the Articles of Confederation. I'm sure that you've been taught that in the past as well. We're going to look at this the new government that was formed and the first president of our country under this new Constitution was who?
George Washington.
It's not a trick question. George Washington. And so we're going to spend some time looking at him and his administration. So with that in mind, we're going to be watching a video presentation of that information as well. And so with that in mind, the assignment for you to work on the rest of the period is to read and highlight handouts number 1, 2, and 3 of George Washington. Now, that means you skip past a couple of pages of outline for you to take notes. And when you get to the pages that are George Washington, at the top it says the birth of freedom. So handouts number 1, 2, and 3. Read and highlight for tomorrow. Any questions? I have all of your homework papers. Okay, you may begin.